Screens.
We good now?
1 second.
Okay.
It says it's next week. Or other ones like. So realize only was maybe a year now, or maybe the city is taking from to. Like they doesn't. It says live stream.
I think it's recording. It shows it's recording on YouTube. So
Okay, wonderful.
Great.
Let's get started. Let me shut the door real quick. And I'm gonna put the agenda up on the screen and share screen.
Well, Keith's doing that. Welcome everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Salem Public Art Commission for July 10th, 2024. We have a guest offering public comment today, and we'll go ahead and get started with that. Welcome, Kathy De La Rosa.
I also
sorry, Kathy. Zach, can you do introductions real quick?
Sure. Let's go around real quick. My name is Zach Hall. I'm the chair of the Salem Public Art Commission.
This is Nipek. I'm vice chair.
Brian Hart, commission member, commissioner.
Chris Darcy, commissioner.
Krista Lauer, commissioner.
Spencer Emmerich, commissioner.
Keith Bonogwin, commission liaison.
Guests.
Do we have Kathy?
Yep. So I do also have kind of a visual that would help if I'm allowed to share a screen, if that's okay.
Oh, this is just introduction, Kathy.
Oh, sorry. My name is Kathy. I'm with Deacon Development.
And then I think Cherie is the last one.
Cherie Morgan, Community Planning and Development Department. Good evening.
Good evening. Okay. Thanks for bearing with that. Now we're going to move to public comment. Is it all right if Kathy shares her screen, Keith?
Yes, I believe I gave her control now.
Okay.
Sweet. All right. Okay, so here we go. So
I'm not sharing, I'm sorry. Oh, or maybe you are. Let's see.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, wonderful.
yeah, it's working.
Hey.
Okay, great. So yeah, my name is Kathy De La Rosa. I'm with Deacon Development. So we are a real estate development company based in Portland. So currently we are in the design stage, permitting stage for one of the project sites in the downtown Salem area, right on High Street and Chemeketa Street, Cross Street. And so the plan is to also in the near future, we'll own 2 project sites. So as you can see on the screen is they're adjacent to each other, the red square and the green square. So the green one is Liberty Street and Chemeketa Street, Cross Street. So this is kind of the aerial photo of the current site. So the one on the more rectangular one, the one on Liberty Street, it used to be a bank. And so outside of the bank, the bank was demolished around 2016. And so outside of the bank, and this is a street view from back before the bank was demolished, there were 8 pieces of marble reliefs on the exterior of that bank building. And so at the time, the property owner, they wanted to demolish the building, and part of the demo permits condition from the city was to preserve and keep these marble pieces, and then to be basically to reuse them on a future development or future building on that project site. And so, as you can kind of see, these are the 8 marble pieces reliefs. And the reason why I'm kind of reaching out is as we're going through the design process on one of the project site, I was chatting with the city's archaeologist, and she suggested that I also could talk to the Salem's Public Arts Commission. And so these 8 pieces of marble panels, they are hand carved. And they're pretty unique. They each represent a different Oregon industry, and they're pretty good size too. It's like 6 by 5 and 6 inches thick. And so it's pretty incredible. And they were actually carved by the artist. His name is Frederick Littman. So just a little bit of background about him here. He moved to Portland in 1941, and he had quite a bit of influence because he was an instructor at both the Portland Art Museum and Portland State University, and basically taught a lot of students here locally in Oregon. And so that's kind of why I was just reaching out to see if there is any interest to see if maybe we could, like donate a piece or two to whether it's the commission, or maybe the commission would know of any other organization that maybe we can kind of work together. This is really just a very preliminary conversation as we're going through the design stage, trying to brainstorm, okay, how do we, the best utilize these beautiful marble reliefs panels, and how to really, allow these art pieces to reach a broad audience and still preserve kind of the historic, culture of Salem and the downtown area. So this is kind of why I'm, presenting and sharing you guys these art pieces and a little bit of background and history to open up the conversation. So that basically concludes what I'm presenting, and I'm going to stop sharing now.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Chris, go ahead.
Well, welcome. And I'm really glad to hear that Deacon is considering the future of these bas-reliefs. Mr. Littman collaborated frequently with Pietro Beluschi, the well-known mid-century architect who designed the Marion County Courthouse, which is about a block away from the High Street side of the site that you just showed us. So there's a larger bas-relief on the west-facing facade of that building. And I mean, I, for one, would be very interested in seeing these reliefs be integrated into either something that there may be an opportunity on this particular site, or there's certainly the Civic Center that the city of Salem owns will also undergo a seismic upgrade. And so there'll be changes to that building. And that's a mid-century building itself, more of a brutal design than the Beluschi building that was demolished. But so does Deacon Development own these reliefs at this point?
We will. So we haven't currently closed on the property yet, but once we do, around later in a few months, we will own these reliefs. And so they're currently just sitting in a warehouse somewhere in Beaverton, I think, the current property owner's warehouse. And then just to add a little bit background too, we are trying to see how we can incorporate these pieces in our, so the 2 project sites I show, we plan to have apartment buildings on both project sites. And so we are trying to incorporate these pieces into the building, whether it's like in the lobby area where people can really see them, or so still kind of brainstorming, but there are 8 of them. So it's quite a number of pieces. So that's why I'm reaching out to see, hey, maybe there are other creative ways that we can really show them off to more people. And so
I personally hope that they come back to Salem. They were created for a building here, and They are, I think, an important part of Oregon's kind of mid-century creative history. I mean, Zach, you may know more through your own work.
Yeah, I heard you. So you said that that part of the original development agreement was that they would be reincorporated into the building that was put back. Is that,
Yeah.
could you speak more to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think I can pull out the demo permit condition, and kind of understand a little bit, of that history there. But I think the condition was kind of written that, hey, the builder who chose to demolish the building needs to preserve these and try to incorporate them into a future building in that, on that project site. And so obviously whatever solution or whatever ideas we have is something that I'll have to talk to the city too, to make sure that everybody's okay with it. Just in my, in my own opinion, it could just be that, hey, at the time, maybe we didn't know what we want or, want to do with them. And so that's why the condition was there, just, hey, let's just save them and preserve them in place. And then, if there's a better way to utilize them, maybe the city will be open to that. So that's something I will still have to kind of work through, and I need to talk to somebody at the city, but I thought maybe we can open this up first.
Yeah, I'd be interested in learning more about that requirement. And the reason I'm asking is I think I'm gonna echo Chris that it would be ideal to have them displayed. If we just take them, then they'll sit in storage until a project maybe comes along, which is sort of the scenario you're in. So I guess if there's already an existing under agreement that they're going to be put back and they can be put back, then or incorporated somehow into the design, I think that would be great, and maybe even ideally kept together, because they do
Right.
tell a certain story, and they were part of that Bluesky building, and there's a lot of history there for Salem and Oregon, art. So I think they're important in that respect, and it would be, again, ideal if they could be somehow kept together and incorporated into the new design. I'm just a little hesitant. So I want to be part of the discussion, but I sort of don't want to. I don't want the Salem Public Art Collection to sort of adopt them and then not know what to do with them and have them languish. Chris, go ahead.
Kathy, what's your timeline for the development of these two parcels that you just described?
The parcel with that rectangular parcel, we probably won't even start the permitting process until likely next year. So we definitely have time. So it's a very early conversation right now.
Okay,
The-
well, that's
the-
good news.
The square lot behind that was Salem's original city hall lot. Is that correct?
No, the adjacent lot was sorry, is that what you're asking? The adjacent, the
Yeah,
square lot.
the square one.
Yeah, yeah.
And in some ways, it could be interesting to put them there as part of that building.
We're trying, yeah, we're
Yeah.
trying to kind of incorporate them into our project.
Just as a nod to the sort of history of that space and its importance in Salem for a long period of time, and there might be a kind of communicative effect there.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
agree with that, Zach. I would love to see them reinstalled in downtown Salem. The city's making efforts to revitalize downtown. Your projects are a big part of that, and I also think that is part of the downtown that a lot of people walk around. It's not far from the Capitol, state government, and I would love to see them be part of a master plan for public art in that part of the city.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear about this because it was a little bit before my time, but I remember when that building came down, as far as understanding the history of it, some of my friends would kind of lament that building was coming down because of the history, and then especially because of the bas-reliefs. So it's nice to know that the developers are sensitive to that, and that you have them, and that you're not going to just junk them, that you understand the historical importance of them. How far along is any of the drawings or anything? Is there plans for what the buildings are going to look like yet? I mean, is this something that maybe the architect would kind of get excited about working with and building sort of around it to not completely, but to incorporate these things into their design.
Yeah, we don't really have a design quite yet for that particular site. We do have something for the High Street site, like the old City Hall site. So this is, I mean, I don't want to take too much time of your meeting either. Sorry, by everybody's time, and we don't have to have a conclusion today. I just wanted to at least show you guys that what we're, the release, and maybe I'm personally not the art expert, and you're all, the expert in this area. So just something to kind of know and think about for future, if you know of any building that could benefit. Yeah.
You mentioned you spoke with some of the archaeologists. I believe that would be Kimberly Fitzgerald.
Mhm.
Is that the department that you're working with and having the conversation with, the Historical Landmarks Commission?
Not about the art pieces. I was talking to her
Okay.
about, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to see what city staff person I can speak with if I need updates on this. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can send you a copy of that previous demo permit condition, and then we can trace it from there, I think.
Okay,
Or put that condition there.
thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, just to something to note for future, if you maybe, in the future you guys see some project, or maybe the Capitol building, like you mentioned, anyone could be interested. We could donate these pieces to somewhere that can benefit even a broader audience, just an idea. So yeah.
I think it would also be interesting to kind of go back and look at what kind of press and media might have been in the local papers when that bank building was built. I have some colleagues who might be able to help with that. Because that was it was a branch bank, but it was pretty fancy. It had a marble facade. It had these bas reliefs by a pretty famous guy. It was
Yeah.
a whiskey building. It was a pretty big deal. And I worked for the state government for a long time, but I don't think there is a place in the Oregon State Capitol for these pieces.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, just because that's another historic building, it's full of stuff, and their project is still ongoing.
Right.
Well, I'm really glad you joined us today.
Yeah,
Well,
thank
thank
you,
you for
Kathy.
having me.
Keith, maybe we can somehow bookmark this for ourselves to remember when I know that we periodically talk about where we're going to cite different artworks in the Civic Plaza redevelopment, and maybe we can remind ourselves somehow to keep this circulated
Absolutely.
in our conversation. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate it.
Will you also be speaking to the Landmarks Commission, Kathy?
I don't think I have spoken to them. I don't.
Okay, I just wondered. I mean, they're kind of a colleague group, city board that deals with historic buildings and things like that. But this seems like it's art, and it does seem like it's within the sphere of work for the Salem Public Art Commission. So,
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Kathy. You're welcome to stick around if you like, but you certainly don't need to.
Thank
Thank you.
I think I'll hop off. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Because Sherry's with us today, I'm gonna suggest we draw her forward so that she can contribute.
Let's approve the consent agenda and minutes from the last meeting, and then we can go into the next.
Okay.
I have before you take a motion, in the minutes of the last meeting, I believe that Jack McClarty's name was misspelled.
Oh, it's put it as McCarty.
As McCarty. His correct name is Jack McClarty.
Okay, thank you. I will reflect that in the updated minutes.
Sounds great. I would move approval of the consent agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Great. Consent agenda is approved. Okay, now if we could bring Sherry forward. Is this the Downtown Art Pedestal project?
Thank you for moving me up in the agenda. I very much appreciate this.
Of course.
I came to you once before to lay out that this was something, and then I talked to Zach separately, that I was going to put in my budget for this year, and the budget was approved. When the cats sculpture was purchased, the Salem Public Art Commission undertook that project and solicited artists and selected the piece that's in front of the Forge building that's under renovation. So I was circling back, letting you know that this would be the scope behind the money that we have approved for it. And I wasn't exactly sure because when the cats, when you went through that process, it was a different staff support that you had then, and I wasn't sure what they needed. So I kind of put everything into this memo, but certainly if Keith needs anything else from me, or if you do to move this forward, I'm happy to give that to you. I think the difference between the last time and this time is that the board, took a look at and talked through what they thought would be interesting in regards to the experience somebody would have if they walked by a piece of art. But again, I'm just very grateful to have you be open and to take on this project. And I don't know if you have a formal process now that you would go through to take action that this would be in your plan as a project that you would take on as a commission, or what that process is.
Yeah. And so let's, I don't, off the top of my head either, we haven't done an acquisition since I've been involved. But Keith and Chris, you guys can probably speak to it from your collective memories.
I think it would be good to go back and check the actual records on this, because I do believe that the Oregon Artist Series Foundation was involved in this. I remember being part of a studio visit to Mel Katz's studio in Portland. And I also think that that acquisition might have been funded by a private gift from a business leader in Portland. So I do think it'd be worth going back and looking at that. I don't remember
that. I already did that before I moved this forward. I went to the Oregon Artist Series Foundation and revisited with them the communication that they brought to the Downtown Advisory Board in regards to if the pedestals were funded, that they would do the art. And we moved forward with putting 2 art pedestals in, of which there was no art then to back it up. When I met with them to see if that was something that they were planning on doing, it was not, which is why I ended up putting it in my budget, because art acquisition is eligible, because I have those 2 vacant art pedestals that have been there for a while. And the goal would be to get the art put on them for the city's art collection. So Chris, I did go to the Oregon Artist Series board meeting first, and then I came to SPAC to preview this with them. And then I put it in the budget, and now I'm kind of finalizing this whole process that I've been to, but I started with them.
No, I understand that. I was at that meeting. I'm going back in time to how the Mel Katz got to Salem.
So Chris,
Yeah.
but we have budget, and we sort of already agreed that we would participate in the solicitation process.
Oh yeah, I've no argument with that. My point is, I don't believe that SPAC put out an RFQ for artist qualifications to acquire that sculpture. That's all I'm saying.
We haven't. That's why Sherry's here today. She wants to know what the next step is.
And that could be the case, Chris. I have no idea what the process was that SPAC went through. I just know that with staff at that time, I ended up getting the cats which was great. That's why that's why I don't know exactly what you would need from me in order to move this forward as a project in your work plan.
I pulled up chapter 15, Public Art Fund, and the use of restricted funds for public art. My interpretation would be once the funds have been transferred into the Salem Public Art Fund, 176, then we would follow section 15.045, which outlines the, it says that the commission will determine the type and location for the public art. The city will create a request for proposal. Prior to commencement of any work, the commission shall approve the final design. Upon substantial completion of the public art project, SPAC will review it for acceptance into the collection. So it's pretty much outlined here that we would be responsible for the RFP process.
But I understood the process for the, you know, the art, let's say for this building, was that a small committee was put together to work with people from the building, from art, you know, from the commission. And then we would go forward with that, with the RFPs and looking around and you know, seeing what type of art you might want
But I
there.
think-
Is that something?
Yeah, I think in this case, it would be total SPAC funds. So we would make the decision, whereas this building was part of the public works project and they just invited SPAC to be part of that requisition process. So I think it really falls on the commission.
Sherry, your last paragraph in your memo here, I'm not sure I understood. Have you already looked at sculptures that you would like to recommend? Groovy, not LA?
No.
I mean, I didn't understand what that was.
No, we have, again, my understanding is exactly what Keith just went over. If you took on this project, you would go through a formal solicitation process to the artist community, asking them to present you with pieces of art that you could then, I'll use the word jury, or go through an evaluation process based on what your solicitation asked for. So if your solicitation says, we want it to be a local artist, we want it to, you know, meet these height and width requirements, it needs to go on this type of a pedestal. The pedestals have lights. We would like it to take into consideration the location to the park and the historic district. Then that's what goes out to the artist community. They turn around and say, oh, we have this great piece of art. And then you go through your process of reviewing it against your solicitation criteria. And then you can tell them how much money you have available. And then we buy it and get it installed. The comments at the bottom in regards to that just says, I just attached the details of the pedestal because I figured when you went out with your solicitation, you might want to include what that infrastructure would be like. So an artist knew the pedestal of which it would be on, to consider the kind of, they have a pedestal in addition to the pedestal, like the Cats is on, I think it's on a pedestal. In addition to our pedestal, which is flat with the sidewalk. You can't see our pedestal. It's hidden. It's the infrastructure's underneath a grate. So that's why I included that. And again, the comments from the board in regard to groovy, local art or artists, that was just them having a conversation about what they get from art. It's an experience. And so it's a feeling, depending on it, can move you. So they just wanted to have me include those comments. Did I answer your question?
Yes, no, at first I thought that maybe you were gonna show us some artworks that you had already selected. I didn't quite understand what those terms were referring to, but now you clarified it. Thank you. Yeah, I think, you know, as a commission, I think we understand what the process would be and we can move forward. That, I don't know how you feel about it, Zach, but I think, and everyone else, I think we understand what the process would be for selecting art.
And
That's right.
what is the location?
Again, we have 4 art pedestals. In front of Ritter's is where the cube is, and was already part of the city's art collection, and it was transferred there when that building was redone. The second one is at the corner of Liberty and Chemeketa on the southwest side. The other one is at the corner of Chemeketa and Commercial by Firestone. And then the fourth one is at Court Commercial on the east side by Olivia's boutique.
Sherry, is a $50,000 budget specifically for the artwork? Or does it include the pedestal?
Pedestals are in.
Okay, thank you.
50,000 is for you to use to solicit that interest for, and then again, I don't know what the cost of will be that will come in, but that would be what you would have to purchase and have it installed.
So that
The
includes
pedestal's already
installation.
there.
That would include the cost of installation as well.
That's up to us to write into the bid, I think. Sherry, did I, or Keith, so we need to have the funds transferred to SPAC under one of this limited or restricted funds clause. Is that right?
Correct. That's my understanding. I can speak because I think the project for the Public Works building, it did not get transferred into the SPAC account, but this one is different because it's a standalone project. And so that would be something that I would speak with legal about.
Okay.
But what I can do, I think the best resource would be to get the RFP from the Public Works building and or the police station, talk with the project managers and see what their process was, because it's been successful. And then we can decide who is part of SPAC's selection committee, whether it's just SPAC or if you want to include community members.
Great. Can we do that and then make it an item for our next meeting to make sure we communicate back to Sherry what exactly our process is going to be and what we need from her as far as transferring money and what accounts and the mechanisms of that.
Absolutely. I'll talk with budget and finance as well as legal.
Okay. Sherry, that's really exciting.
So Keith, just point of clarification, a piece of art that is purchased in conjunction with a public project like the police facility or public works, that is a budget that then has a line item for that art. It's just part of the bigger project.
Yeah, it's what is it called? 0.5% for art.
Exactly. This is a little bit different in that I would need an invoice or something to pay on versus it's just in a bigger city budget. You know what I mean? It's a line item that is identified right up front. This is a standalone. So if in fact I need to put the money someplace, I would need to know that for city internal accounting, because typically our money doesn't go and sit in an account. I basically pay when I have something.
Got it. Okay, I think we can work that detail out.
Okay. I'm so excited. Thank you. I cannot wait to see what comes in. And then as I shared in this, there's another sculpture that's going to be needed in West Salem. So it might be even more fun to say you have 3 when you go out to solicit, so you're not having to do a separate solicitation for what's coming out of the West Salem urban renewal area.
So is this $50,000 for a single work of art and installation? Or is this for 3 works of art?
Okay. I have 2 art pedestals that are vacant, so the 50,000 is for art for 2.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't have to be 25. You have a budget of 50 to get 2 pieces of art for 2 pedestals. I only mentioned the West Salem one because I know that that's coming too. I don't know what the budget is behind that. but I'm encouraging that staff person. And I told them that I mentioned it in here because it would make sense if I was you, to do that all at once. Because it would just be better for the artist community. We would get more interest and open and make it broader for people to submit it. But that would be coming from another person. I just wanted you to know that there was a need for the third.
Is this, can you tell us what the street intersections are in West Salem?
They only have one, and it's part of the 2nd Street improvements that they're being done, all the streetscape improvements there.
I was just there last week. That's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, Keith, actually, do you have any update on that? I know that it was a couple of months ago that we had talked about that, and they had come and expressed interest in that, and we kind of talked about some people from the commission as well that might be involved in that process. Do you have any updates on that project?
The staff person is no longer with the city. I think his name is Clint Dameron, who was working on it. But I haven't received any updates on it. But living in West Salem, I can see that the street's almost done. My question for Cherie was, that you said it's approved for this fiscal year's budget. So the timeline would be spending and expending it before next July, correct?
Yeah, before June 30th.
Yeah, June 30th.
Do you have any idea when the budget might be released or known for that West Salem piece?
Well, that person, I thought you might ask this question. He's on vacation this week, but he's on my team. So
Okay.
I'll make sure that Keith gets that information for you.
Okay.
And Cherie.
Yep.
I just have one question, the Downtown Advisory Board that, I'm sorry to go back to this, but it sounds like they had something in mind. Would they want us to present to them?
No,
Before we make our final decisions?
nope, they will not be involved in the selection evaluation jurying. That is, they know that you're responsible for that.
Okay. It is very exciting to have new artwork, and I think we can even, put out the RFP, but also there are other resources where we can go and actually invite artists also to submit, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Cherie.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
A nice gift to Salem.
Yes, thank you for all your hard work on that. Great. All right, moving back into our discussion items. We have accession of the library art collection, which we voted to accept last meeting, I believe.
Yes, so an update on that. Both the Salem Public Art Commission accepted it and the Library Foundation voted to gift it to us. So now the ball is in legal's court, and I'll be working with Mark Weinstein to draft those documents.
Great. That's exciting. Thanks for everyone's work on that. Relocation.
Did we see an inventory of that collection to be transferred?
Yes,
Yeah.
she sent us the listing of 44 pieces. I think there is working on a repair of one of them right now.
Okay.
And then I saw from Lee that the drummer and rooster are being installed tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow afternoon. I didn't want to push him to submit a time because he's an artist. So we'll see what happens and when, but I would, by the end of the day, I'm going to go over there and take a look at it. And if he does send me a specific time, I will forward it over to everyone if you want to go and be part of that installation. But the next thing on that list is we need to figure out what to do with it after October. So we're not in the clear.
So it's only there, it can only stay there until October?
Absolutely. That was the condition that Marilyn Daly accepted it because they have various programmings towards that time of the year when there's lots of people. And she needs the space.
So we have to move it again within 2 months, 3 months?
Yes. There was talk about last time contacting the Salem Convention Center. And perhaps this time we put together a maintenance plan or a plan of moving or some kind of agreement. But there's no other spaces in the city at this time that we have identified for it. The library said they will accept it if it's put outside, you know, like next to the deer or the entrance. But there's no established installation point or anything like that. So I'm thinking inside for now.
Maybe I think there's another Hess, is it sculpture at SAA that someone hooked a cable to and tried to drive away with recently? Did you hear about that one?
I did not.
Bent it flat.
The one it by the entrance walkway.
Yeah.
Really? It's
Yeah.
funny. I went to the opening last Friday. I was in a hurry. I didn't notice that the sculpture was there or gone. But wow. The park, Bush Park is not a safe place for stuff these days.
I did talk to Lee just as an anecdote, and he said that he sanded down and re-patinaed that thing 3 times in order to match the patina, and felt like in doing so he entered into a dialogue with Robert, who he called something like the trickster or something like that.
Wow.
And felt like it would have tickled Robert to know that Lee was sweating around trying to figure out how he had accomplished this patinas. So,
well, you know, just thinking about the city's buildings, I can't come up with a better with a location. I completely understand that this convention center does not have trained art handlers, and that the nature of that facility is that it is adapted for different users weekly. So I don't see that unless something changes there, that would be a viable place for the piece to come back to.
so
Sorry.
So should we look to the library for October?
Yeah,
October,
you know, it's funny though, because I don't think that there are good exterior locations at the library either. Just I'm in the library frequently, and like especially up by the deer. I mean, for me, I would cut back some of the shrubbery by the deer and put in better lighting so that piece is more exposed. But you know, I think the landscaping that was done around the library is very effective, and you can't just plop a rooster into it. I mean, in my opinion.
Sorry, can it, you know, withstand the elements outside?
Yeah.
Probably.
Is there any, so I know that the Peace Plaza or the space between the library and City Hall is getting redone. Didn't the Drummer and Rooster originally live in a water pool outside of conference chambers?
Absolutely.
Yes.
There was also another water pool inside that building, which is now just sort of a bricked over area, still raised though, and somewhat pedestal-like, I suppose, in its construction. Is there a possibility of putting it there?
At this point, I would suggest not because of the construction that's going to be happening in
And
the
that's
next 2 years.
inside that space too?
Yeah, I
They're moving out
agree.
all personnel.
Got it. Okay. Well, everyone put on your thinking caps. Krista, do you have some space in your backyard? Because we might need to drop it off.
I mean, yeah, the vineyard, you know, we got a whole 40 acres up here. We can really expand the public art realm into Eola Amity Hills.
Is there any storage facilities in the event we can't find a place by October and we have to move it out of the Center 50 Plus? Is there a place to put it?
Yeah, where the peace mosaic is, I think it's in a building that is under the umbrella of Public Works, Keith.
Okay. Oh, you mean the waste processing facility by the airport?
No, I got the feeling it might be somewhere in East Salem. I mean, Peter Fernandez.
Oh, Peace Mosaic. I was thinking, no, yeah, that's where it's at the transfer station down by the airport.
Okay.
It's under, yeah. I'm thinking airport, the actual physical airport.
Yeah, I was just thinking too.
But they said no.
They said no,
Yeah,
but
we talked about that early, didn't we?
the Public Works building, we could have it somewhere up here.
Yeah.
But that's, just asking the questions again, bring it to knowledge. I think once it's at the Center 50 plus, we can make have a lot of more awareness of these pieces. And maybe perhaps have more departments interested in owning it for a time. Until perhaps the Civic Center is completed within a couple of years.
Okay,
Do
so
you-
let's
do you
at
know- do you-
least,
do you- Oh, sorry, go ahead, Zach.
no, go for it.
Do you know what the associated costs are of moving it from place to place? Because I know that was an initial concern with us of installing it in place, potentially putting it back into storage, moving it to another facility. Obviously, if we're looking for a permanent home, that might be part of the conversation, but do we have any idea of what the kind of costs associated are with moving that piece?
I'm not sure, Lee Immonen rolled it into the total cost of his, of the 10,000 some odd dollars. But he just put it in the back of his pickup truck and drove it around.
Okay.
Krista, can you up your volume a little bit? It's kind of hard to hear you.
Oh, sure. Is this better?
I think so.
Okay.
Right.
I will project a little more.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Keith, maybe you could just look into the storage question, just in case we can't, just so we have a backup plan.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So I just thought of another location that we might at least look at, and that is the lobby of the police station, the interior lobby of the police station. I've just been doing a mental scan of, like we've got firehouses, we've got more utility buildings, we've got the civic center, we've got the library. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. So somebody could just go over and take a look.
Is there an opportunity maybe for private? I mean, is Willamette interested in having it temporarily sited there? I mean, the professor at Willamette, even if it's living there for a moment, it's not public in the same way that these other spaces are, but of course people are able to walk through there.
How about the Hallie Ford? Or, I don't have connections specifically with the university.
Hallie Ford that might be a good idea. They might be able to find a place for it in there, even in the galleries.
I'm happy to, I know Zach, you obviously have connections. That was one of my kind of reach out to the universities on our public plan. So I'm happy to kind of reach out to them and start that conversation and see if they might have any ideas, especially if it theoretically could live indoors or outdoors. It does give them some flexibility in that respect. So.
And SPAC has the authority to determine where it is sited. So if you want it off city property, you can do that. I'm assuming there's going to be legal agreements that would have to take place.
Right.
Probably.
I think the Hallie Ford has its own storage issues. So I think we should just be aware of that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I can remember Robert working in the basement of the art building, which is not the Hallie Ford, right? It's a block away, but there might be locations in or near the art building. There might be other spaces there that could be considered. So it could start with a reach out to John Olbrands or Jonathan Bucci at the museum, and then see if there was other places that they might, it's obviously, it's not a permanent gift to them or anything. It's just but they have a clear historical connection to him and his legacy, and so it might be.
Be kind of poetic to have it there for a
Another
while.
cool article, for.
Sculpture comes home for a visit.
Right. And I also think the lobby of the theater at Willamette could work, the Pelton Theater. If Willamette is going to be a host for some kind of a stay.
Yeah.
There might be another Hess in that lobby already. There's a sculpture. I can't remember who did it.
Krista, are you planning to talk to them in a?
Yeah. So yeah, I can preface that conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I may see Lee on Thursday, so I'll hear how it went for the installation.
I wish I could join for that, but I am going to be in Portland.
Me too, but I'm going to race back. So I'll see. All right, moving on to SPAC work plan.
There was nothing that no comments received from the commissioners for any changes. I know, Zach, you put some effort into kind of summarizing it. I did not have the time to clean it up.
Okay.
But I just wanted to solicit, any feedback, since the last time we discussed it. If not, we can move on.
I don't have any feedback today. I think I did forward you that version I had made changes.
Yes, thank you.
The draft strategic positioning document.
I have it right next to me. I had to make a trip to New York for family business, so I don't have anything to share, but I will hopefully do that within a week.
Great, thank you. The public art matrix for legal.
Yes, I met with Mark Weinstein, and we reviewed each of the each of the surfaces. We met earlier today with Parks Department, to talk about the Hoodview Park and some of the, ideas for other neighborhood parks. And it was clarified to, Jennifer, Keller, the Parks Director, that all paintings on signs, all paintings on fences within parks that's viewable from the right of way will be considered a sign unless it is approved by SPAC. So there is a painting in one of the parks, but it's just gonna be in a graffiti abatement project. And it's just gonna be one blue-gray color. And so until legal and city council approves of a change to our code, our sign code, Jennifer Keller will be holding off on approving any more paintings on the fences.
There is that ongoing project at Northgate, and they are going to be painting more and more and more. Is that just under the umbrella that they already have the permission to do that?
Today's meeting solidified that if there is a complaint made about a painting on a fence, sign code will have them painted over, and it's not even the parks, not the ordinance, what is that called? The enforcement action will be on the private property owner.
Do we have an initiative in process with legal to address this issue under sign code?
Yes, so after the conversation with Mark, we're taking that list to legal as well as other city departments, because even there was Jennifer Keller, they worked on this. So there's a project, I forgot what park, I get my parks mixed up, but the neighborhood association decided, let's start painting these murals on panels in the wintertime so that when summertime comes, we can just install these panels on the parks fences. Installing panels on a fence is part of building code, because if wind comes and just blows the fence over, then it'll be up to the property owner to pay for that damage. And so those are even more cumbersome than just painting paint on a fence. And so we teased out these ideas today. And what Mark and I are going to do, our next steps are to revisit with each of the different city departments. There's zoning, there is building and safety, and then there's the parks and SPAC. The concern is that if we continue with these paintings in parks and a homeowner comes up and say, I want to paint my fence, and they say, sign code will say, no, it's a sign, then they'll just point to the parks, and then that'll be a complaint, and they would have to paint over the fence. So we're kind of just putting a halt on approving any other ones until this motion from Councilor Nishioka is teased out and code is changed. Legal does not want to open the code multiple times, and so that's why we're taking this entire list to them outlining the barriers and parameters of each of these pieces of surfaces. And then after that, we can open code, make change, and then close it.
Is there also consideration for fences that are on private property?
If fences are on private property and it's viewable by the right of way,
It would be
then
governed.
it's
An alley or right of way?
So we're supporting Councilor Nishioka's motion, but also sort of adding more context
absolutely.
by identifying other surfaces in the hope that we can roll those surfaces into the same dialogue and maybe expand this solution to allow for our inventory of surfaces concept.
Right.
Yep.
Like, for instance, we talked, the three things Councilor Nishioka brought up was temporary art in general, the trolls, which is if you see it from the right of way, it's considered a sign, but also falls under building code as a structure, and then light displays. And so we're taking a look at that, and I didn't even know this, but if you have light displays within the Willamette Greenway, which is part of Riverfront Park, or signs within the Willamette Greenway, there's different permittings for that. Like it can't face the river for, I guess, environmental or visual pollution reasons. So we're taking a look at everything in that list. And so if there's others that we haven't thought of, we need to put that in now because staff in various departments are consulting now on it.
I don't know that, I'm not sure that drinking fountains made it into that list, but because of that public comment from that person a few meetings ago, that is I noticed from walking through Bush Park that the drinking fountains are a thing that gets tagged and hit. Maybe we want to write it in there just as a surface that could be wrapped or treated with artwork in some sort of way.
And that was one of the things we discussed because the Salem Parks Advisory Board has responsibility for what happens in parks. And
Okay.
so we need to be sensitive to their thoughts and ideas. And so that's another entity we need to work with.
Okay, fair enough.
Has that group seen the utility box wraps that have been installed downtown?
I haven't spoken with the Parks Board about that.
I think they're very attractive. I think they might find them, of interest. Just a comment.
Yeah, if there's an opportunity to, or when the time is right, to meet with parks and talk through this sort of shared interest, I'd be happy to do that or help still type that or whatever.
And the Betty LeDuc is right across from an entrance, vehicle and pedestrian entrance to Riverfront Park. I think it's a nice component that would translate into many other parks. And it's been interesting to see the city using social media to solicit comments from folks around the city about parks that are being developed in different parts of Salem. I'm glad to see that happening.
Thanks for all your work on this, Keith. It sounds like it's we're doing something. It's exciting.
Absolutely. Yes, are retaining walls part of that discussion too? Because I know that one got
Yep,
kind
good
of
question.
down.
So the retaining wall is within the public works right of way, which is an exemption from sign code. So if public works decides this retaining wall can be painted, then that would be an exemption. So that's an option, but because it is in the right of way and visible by motorists, sign code will most likely make the argument that this is not a safe or, but the point was, there is exemptions for things within the public right of way. That's why we have street paintings.
Right. Okay.
Because we have total control over it.
Okay, well, let us know what happens next and what we need to do. There's the library art kiosk update.
Yep, so the last time we talked about library art kiosk was back in December. General fund is where IT is situated under. So resources have been reassigned, and so not a whole lot of work went into it, not a whole lot of time was allocated to it. But the most recent update is the IT GIS people responsible for our maps gave me access and created an app where I can update the inventory. So I think the first things on our list was to add all of the new pieces of art, so like the Public Works building, the street paintings, the new murals, as well as the utility art boxes. So essentially, when I get updated photos, I don't want to go out and take any kind of photo. I'd like someone professionally to do it. Then I can update that GIS layer.
Great. And are we going to include is the library collection already thought about in the art kiosk? Now that the library collection is part of the city art collection, is that inventory included in there as well?
Yes, that was a primary collection, not just the exhibits, but like Krista pointed out, a lot of the photos that we currently have is not of high quality or resolution. So perhaps when we get the library collection combined, we could maybe, SPAC could use some funds to get it professionally done or have volunteers do it, or I know we talked about it before, but we haven't really pinned down how we're going to update the images in our current database. I think that's the next step in order to have quality photos loaded onto the kiosk.
Okay.
I mean, the good news is that all of the works in the library are fully documented. There is content that's accurate, has been fact checked, and it's well written. And so I would suggest that we look at maintaining that level of content for any new works acquired by the city. 6 people worked for several years. It's a big task, but would be good to start chipping away at that. And Krista's social media posts are very helpful because she's creating content in some cases for pieces that we didn't have content for. You know, narrative.
Trying.
Do we know who captured the photography for the library's collection?
I don't.
And it's pretty hit or miss.
It is. I mean, it's not consistent, I would say. I'd say it's more consistent than the rest of the collection, and there is more information, again, consistent with the rest of the collection. But I will say, like, once that is completely approved and acquired into the public art collection, I do think doing kind of a deep dive and overview and just really seeing all the information that we have and finding those gaps and those holes, I do think that would be really beneficial because there are a lot of inconsistencies and there are a lot of things that could be definitely updated and information that could be found and compiled. So I do think that once that acquisition is complete, that could be a really good project, whether that's through SPAC, whether that's through an internship, anything like that. I think there are a lot of opportunities, but that is something I think definitely to keep on the radar.
And just to let you know, SPAC currently has $40,000 in its fund, and SPAC has authority to, use that to get a consultant or someone to go out and just get it done one time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a project for somebody like Frank Miller, who's done a lot of work at Willamette. And then he could be a mentor for some younger photographers who might do this for credit at Willamette or Western.
Yeah, I feel like this could be a great internship opportunity, whether there is, absolutely a higher figure involved.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I mean, doing research on a city's public art collection and doing some of that provenance and those kinds of research, I think that would be a really amazing project for a lot of people to be involved with.
I agree.
Zach, do you have connections too for people who photograph?
Oh yeah,
for a living?
I do. There's sort of two different paths in my, my day-to-day experience with photographing artwork, which we are doing constantly. There's bringing in professional photographers, and then there's sort of sales, what I call sort of sales level photography, which we're shooting constantly with light boxes and white walls, and so my team can do a version of that, which is a lot more cost effective than hiring a professional photographer, but it also relies on a light box and a white space, and so it just sort of depends where the stuff is, how it could be shot. There's probably there's a more professional and a less professional path that would probably produce usable images, but yes, I do have lots of contacts with professional photographers, and I can offer those up easily. So
Seems pretty important that we think about moving forward with doing that as a project somehow to, how do we move forward with figuring out what needs to be photographed and how to do it, who's gonna do it, and all that. Do we have a subcommittee or a task force or a?
Yeah, the chair can, create a subcommittee. That I want to just let you know the city's limitation, we don't have a staff person to oversee an internship program. It would be the liaison like myself. But yeah, and anything over $5,000 would have to go out to bid. Or we would have to secure 3 estimates. Well, we usually do that anyway if it's a couple thousand.
I'm sending it.
Oh.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
It would be, as folks are reaching out to, potential collaborators in the community, like the state, like Willamette, this could be a good question, issue to just raise. So if, let's say, the state of Oregon has, let's say, 10 new projects in the Salem or Willamette Valley that are going to get photographed, maybe there's this ganging up or a collaboration around getting the work done. It'd just be worth raising the possibility.
We seem to have talked about it quite often. It'd just be nice to have a plan to move forward with it somehow.
Because it wouldn't be very difficult to just update the GIS database, our database with the new photos. Just distribute that, but it's still thinking of it.
Yeah. Keith, do we have a timeline in terms of the library foundation collection and when that would all be approved and when we would get all that data?
The legal department did not say what the timeline was. It sounded like it's just paperwork that we need to complete. So
okay,
perhaps by
because
next.
I have access to the our current database, and that's what I've basically been using for the public art posts for social media. So I have a general understanding of what things would need to be updated, what things we have information for. So, if that's something where we need to assign one of us to do it, I'm happy to spearhead that project. If it needs to become a subcommittee situation, it absolutely can. But I'm happy to kind of oversee that and just kind of figure out exactly where we are with what images we have, what documentation we have, and kind of where those gaps are.
That'd be a good place to start.
Yeah.
Chris, if you'd be willing to do that, just a list of
Absolutely.
things that really maybe take the worst, first.
Yeah.
And
right now the database I have, it's kind of a compilation of the city's collection mixed with the Library Foundation's collection. But once we have their complete database and information, I'll have a better idea of what information is there.
And then if a subcommittee is formed, then we can pull in, the IT people and our library people and our our desktop publishers to this and kind of see what resources are currently available with the city, their bandwidth, and then some of the gaps we can pursue.
Okay. Thanks, Krista. So I guess we'll move when we know more from legal about the timeline of the library collection process.
Yeah, I can at least start kind of compiling that data with what we have just in our collection from the database. So I can kind of just start on that, and then once we do have that, I can add that in.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Subcommittee reports. Neighborhood Association Chairs meeting, that did not happen.
Well, it's the next meeting I think is in September, right? I don't really
It's
know.
a
Yeah.
So it goes in June, July, September.
It's September, and I went to the last chairs meeting, and it was at the Center 50 Plus, and they had a really big screen, and it was, they had a presentation that was about half hour long, their main speaker, and it involved video and speakers and all that. So if we were the main event, we might have about a half hour. And I think what we need to do is figure out what we want to accomplish with presenting. Do we just want to do sort of a report the way that, I mean, you had sent the report to us that was done for council, but my thinking is that we want to sort of give them a little taste so that we can entice them to say, we want to come to your meetings and we want to tell your members about our commission. So I think it would be great to go back over the things that we've accomplished and maybe update with the library collection and utility boxes and the things that have happened since the other presentation. Keep that, and then maybe kind of segue into showing some of the actual pieces in the collection and say that we would, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how everyone else was thinking about it, but I would like to kind of set the table for going to their meetings, and getting them excited and saying, yeah, why don't you come and share. So,
Yeah, as I prepare for the end of year report, we probably should start compiling all of the stuff and accomplishments that we've been doing. And then you can take that skeleton and flesh it out.
okay, and maybe Krista, maybe you could help us kind of pick some of them few juicy posts that you've done, and kind of we can put those in the presentation and just say this is a taste of what,
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do so.
present. So I think we should find out the date and, get on the calendar with Irma.
Spencer dropped off. Just in that one. Okay.
I
So
can TV stuff if needed to the city's capabilities. Since we could have any information, even just elevated technology or something.
And plus you're involved in it.
Yeah.
Maybe the association, so maybe you could sort of partner on that. And Zach, are you still interested in going and being part of that presentation? And
only if you need me to be. I'm happy to do it, but I'm also happy to not. So
okay, well, maybe you want to work together with that.
Yeah.
So maybe Brian and I will start to, figure it out with you.
If you can send me an email stating that you have an interest and your presentation is about this long, you could probably, I will forward that to Irma in neighborhood associations and see if she can put us as a main event.
Yeah, I think when I canceled with her, and then you canceled with her as well, I mean, I was in communication with her anyway.
Okay,
So I just gave her a heads up,
perfect.
and I think it was understood that we would probably postpone it to the next meeting. So we'll confirm that up and find out how much time
Exactly.
she wants us to have. If she has somebody else in mind for it, we can make it shorter. But I will, do you want me to reach out to her, or you want me to send an email to you?
You can send an email to me and her at the same time.
Okay.
With the requirements.
Okay,
I just reached out to my folks, and they recommended Frank Miller too. So
Well, he's right here, and
yeah.
he is, I know he's looking, I know he is available. And he's high quality.
Yep.
I'm kind of, yeah, I mean, he does a great job with the Halliford.
Yeah.
So,
and
he is a fine art photographer in addition to his kind of documentation work.
Okay. I just sent his contact information through to you, Krista, in case that was part of your wanting to vet his work or who he is, or if you just wanted to look at him for your own interest. Social media plan report. Krista Lauer.
We're back. We posted today.
I
Was it-
saw it.
It's
The
happening.
deer.
Yes. So yeah, no, it was funny that we were talking about the library and the deer sculpture. So yeah, we're doing a summer sculpture situation. So we're just gonna promote a lot of sculpture. So get people out and about and just kind of getting them to try to look around a little bit more when they're downtown and when they're around public spaces, because there is so much around us and a lot of people don't necessarily know what they're looking at or want to learn more or take the time. So that's kind of going to be the focus of the next few weeks, is just take a moment, pause, look around you, take what's in, and maybe we'll share a story about that artwork. So today we started with the Delbert Hodges, the deer and the fawn in front of the library, and so focused on that a little bit, and we'll kind of move from there. So I did also, we have comments disabled on Instagram for the city, but they are available through Facebook. So I did also propose kind of a I put a prompt in there of folks, if if you do have sculptures that you really enjoy and you want us to talk about, please drop them in there. And, that might help us as well, provide a little more engagement and see what people are talking about and what they want to learn a little bit more about. So yeah, that's going to be the focus for the next few weeks.
And is this,
Has anyone commented yet?
There was a big giant heart emoji.
Oh, good.
That was the first one. So I take that as a positive.
Yeah, totally. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
and this is Public Art in Salem, Oregon. Is that the Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Great, thanks.
and we've had a couple shares already. So yeah, it's good. Hopefully it'll be yeah, just kind of a good series and a good reminder to people to just kind of, when you're outside and walking about and driving around, kind of take a look around your surroundings and see what's going on. So
I hope you'll do the Tom McCall piece.
oh yes, we'll do. Absolutely. I almost did that, and then I looked up when that fishing season is. So I was like, maybe it's now, and it's not. But I'm still gonna play it. So.
I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be in the park in about 10 days. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It will be one of the featured ones. Absolutely.
All right, art collection maintenance, the Eco Earth Globe.
Eco Earth Globe continues to deteriorate. The costs are probably rising now. Scott Archer, Deputy City Manager, decided to, before Earth Day next year, he would like to have a plan in place to have that announced. The engineering department is working on updating the 2020 estimate for it. Parks Foundation is almost at their $400,000 goal, but they're already needing to report to the Oregon legislature on the new costs of it, because it's part of the, I think, $150,000 grant that they received. So work is being done on it, and hopefully by next Earth Day, we'll have a plan in place. I did install a I don't know, some kind of board with on it with the big QR code prior to World Beat, so that people can donate during that event. So it's coming along. The black discs, no progress is made. Like I said, we got one what is it called? One estimate from Lee that was above 5,000. So I would have to go and solicit more. I'm not sure how to do that process. I don't know artists in the area, and I don't know how to pick and choose which one I select. Usually, when I do a estimate, it's already contractors of record with the city. So we do have Architectural Resources Group, ARG, that we can ask, and there's another smaller one that I forgot their name that we can also ask.
Didn't we do this with?
The Rooster.
I thought we went through a similar process already, where we asked a couple of different restoration companies.
There was a Rooster that we did.
Right, but didn't you already have 3 that you sent it to for that?
No. Yes. Can't remember. It's been
Can
so
you
long.
use those same?
Yeah, I can use the same one. Yeah.
Well,
No,
we could recommend some conservators in the Portland area who would submit a bid. Can you remind me, Keith, what is the repair work that the black disc piece requires?
I don't know. That was one of the estimate, when we got the two estimates firstly, it was a cost to review it and create a plan. And that was thousands of dollars. And so what we did, we switched it up and just asked Lee Imminent to come and take a look. And so he took a look and then he created a plan and it was over 5,000. And so I'm not sure if I should just take the plan that Lee, developed and then use that to get solicitations from other groups. But because it's end of the fiscal and his start of new fiscal, I would want to go out with an exact description of work, the scope of work, and then give it to 3 new people.
Is there, this piece was in the Mirror Pond, right? Is it water damage?
And Zach, you have some experience with that in your.
I think it's paint is all rubbed off from people climbing on it and
Oh.
sitting on it. So there's scratches and sections where it's down to a red kind of colored primer, and then sections where it's past that down to the metal. And so
Okay.
I think it's basically repainting it is what it
Okay.
boils to. So it's sandblasting it, making sure that its weld connections are still strong, and then repainting it.
Okay.
My guess, I haven't seen, I can't remember Lee's actual.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Yeah, so you can see that's exactly how it looks in real life. You can see it's kind of worn down but that's how it's supposed to look, right? I mean, that's not damage. The position of the discs isn't damage.
Right. Well, maybe we'll learn more about this in a future social media post.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bill Roy, off the top of my head.
So Keith, is it worth going back to the other vendors who said that they wanted to come and charge all that money for just evaluating it? Is it, can we say, hey, we've evaluated it?
I think that would be the easiest if we outline an exact scope of work, saying. But I think Lee was estimating to take it out, to uninstall it and then do the work and then reinstall it. So we would have to create a new scope of work. It could be based off of Lee's recommendation and then send it out to the 2 contractors of record, which is ARG and someone else. And
Well, let's do that and see what we get back, and that'll give us a sense of how we can move forward.
Let's make a motion, so I can have that in record.
Okay. I move that we create a scope of work based on the plan we have submitted currently, and we submit that same scope of work to 2 additional contractors in order to compare pricing.
Our existing contractors of record.
Existing contractors of record. Thank you.
Second.
All opposed?
Both.
Okay, good.
You-
I checked
Unanimous approval.
you there. Motion passes.
Just one thing about the Eco Earth Club, they did a direct mail piece recently that I don't know if everybody got it in the mail, but it was pretty easy to go in and donate using the information.
Great. I have a hard stop at 5 to say out loud, but we're almost done.
Okay.
New business. We are
The art wraps, like you said, there's 3 that are currently up in the downtown area. I haven't heard word yet when the other ones are gonna get completed, but I will update the commission once they are.
Great. I hear a lot of positive feedback about them from all sorts of people really like.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I hope that as we get more information, this would be something that we would be able to take out to the neighborhoods for, to kind of get it out of the downtown core and seed things around the city.
Yeah. Okay.
That is on our matrix for you to review.
Yeah. Excellent.
New business, we already dealt with the downtown art pedestal project. And so we have the review of the meeting with Parks and Community Planning and Development.
That's what I talked about earlier.
We talked about earlier, so we did them. Great. Any other action items or comments?
I just wanted to report about the street paintings, that we have 2 brand new street paintings.
There's some nice posts about them. There's
What's
a nice
that?
post there's a nice post about them on Facebook, I see.
Yeah, there's been a lot of posts. The city's been great about sharing the information and it's really gone viral. It's really nice. So
They
there's
look,
been a lot
they
of
look
support.
great. Way to go.
Came out on the
Grant.
hottest day that we were there. We did work in the morning, so it wasn't too hot. We were done by, some days we were done by 11 in the morning, so it's.
It looks like a real community effort. I like that picture of all the people with their paint rollers and their.
Yeah, yeah, that was good. The only thing was we hadn't gotten photo permissions, but that's okay. Most of them were not using. But so I've been kind of circulating the
This is
ones.
by Grant.
Yeah,
Okay.
that one is actually the one at Winter. It's on the bike route, the scenic bikeway. I always get it confused with it. Neighborhood Greenway, scenic bikeway. And then this one is right next to the school on Cottage. They're both on Hood. They're just a block apart. And we had a lot of community involvement. We had over 40 people come. Some came every single day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's great.
It was really a wonderful community experience. A lot of the people who lived right around them came out and we had met them before. They're very excited about it. They're also excited about the islands in the middle could use a little tending. So I don't know, I told them to reach out to Public Works before they do anything, but you know, they might do a little weeding and things like that. And also Public Works did say that we had to start about 2 feet away from the center islands and that they are going to come in and repaint the yellow.
Okay.
That's, I guess it's an official yellow color, but they told us to wait until, they wouldn't do it until after we were finished, so that then they felt that there would be more care involved in the way that it would be done. One of them is quite broken up and it really needs to be repaired. I don't know who or how, you know, who we would contact about that, or maybe someone would pay more attention to it now that the paintings are on there, but yeah.
Wonderful.
Great, thank you for sharing. That's wonderful.
I have one thing that's not so wonderful.
Okay.
This was sent to me yesterday. This is on the parkade painting. I drove by it and I couldn't see it, so it must be on the inside by the elevators. The facility said that the city chose when they got it installed, the mural, they didn't put an anti-graffiti coating on it. And so if they do try to take it off, it will ruin the artwork. SPAC has the opportunity to either contact the artist and see if they can repair it. And then I remember last time we did contact him and he did say that we should put a coating on it. But I think the last time they did it, it wasn't on multiple colors, it was just on a random one. And so the facilities department was able to just scrape it off using whatever chemicals they had. But I'm not sure what we want to do here.
I would contact Blaine Fontana, the artist.
Yeah. Let's see.
And he is the artist who was painting the cherry production mural.
Yes.
So hopefully he will come back to finish that mural this season. But he's very practical. He's one of the most prolific, experienced mural people in the state, and he should know.
Okay, so the direction is from SPAC to reach out to, excuse me, what is his name?
Blaine Fontana. Mm-hmm.
And say, do we request his advice or do we want him to come out and
I think we want to see if he'll come and fix it, and if
Yeah.
the cost associated with that, what it would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how can we encourage them to put the anti-graffiti coating on it so we don't have to keep doing this?
We spend the money and do it ourselves.
So what does that entail? I mean, how much would it cost and who would do it?
That's the question I would ask Blake, I'm sorry. Do we just purchase ourselves and have facilities do it? You know, or do we have him and his staff do it, or hire painters to do it? So I'll have that conversation via email. And then I'll report out to you.
Yeah, that's about that, because that is, it seems like it's our responsibility to maintain it, and part of it would be to do that.
Yeah. And I would also just have a conversation with Cherie, because she put the initial money on the table to get these the first two murals done. And, you know, this is kind of her downtown area. And just see if there is any way that any of her funding could help get this done. I think it's it's an iconic mural for downtown, in my opinion. So.
That sounds good. That's all the new business that I have.
Well, if there is nothing else, I have to step away if there are other things people want to keep talking about. But if not, then I'm going to adjourn the meeting for today. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Great work.
No, yeah, a lot of good things are happening. So
All right, take care.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Stay cool.